Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, you just see things start to get ridiculously out of control.
Tonight, we take you inside a secret world that's going to stun you.
In the glittering world of beauty pageants, where grace and poise are celebrated, the story of Laura Mojica shimmers with an enigmatic allure. Born into simplicity yet propelled by dreams, Laura's journey from a humble Oaxacan town to the dazzling heights of pageantry is a tale of contrasts. But beneath the sequins and sashes, a chilling secret lay hidden, one that would not only stun her admirers, but also send ripples of disbelief across the globe. This video unveils the true story of a beauty queen whose life took an unexpected turn, leading to a destination that was anything but beautiful. Join us as we unravel the layers of Laura Mojica's life, revealing a narrative that is as captivating as it is unsettling. The rise of a beauty queen. Laura Mojica's story begins in the sun-soaked streets of Huajuapan de León, a small town nestled in the rugged landscapes of Oaxaca, Mexico. In this corner of the world where traditions run deep and the pace of life is unhurried, Laura's childhood unfolded. Born into a family of modest means, she was the youngest of 4 siblings. Her parents, both hard-working individuals, instilled in her the values of determination and humility. From an early age, Laura displayed an arresting beauty that made her stand out. Her dark eyes were pools of mystery, and her smile could light up the dreariest of days. She was aware of her physical charms, yet she carried them with a grace that belied her years. In the close-knit community of Huajuapan de León, she was a local beauty, but her aspirations soared beyond the confines of her hometown. Laura's journey into the world of pageants began almost by chance. At the age of 17, while attending a local festival, she was spotted by a pageant scout who was immediately captivated by her poise and natural elegance. This chance encounter would alter the course of her life. With the support of her family and the encouragement of her newfound mentor, Laura entered her first beauty contest. It wasn't long before Laura's pageant career took flight. She had an innate ability to captivate audiences and judges alike. Her wins began to accumulate, with each victory propelling her further into the spotlight. The local beauty queen was quickly transforming into a regional sensation, and her fame began to spread beyond Oaxaca. Laura's crowning moment came when she won the prestigious title of Miss Earth Oaxaca. It was a victory that reverberated throughout Mexico. The girl from the small town had risen to prominence, becoming an embodiment of the grace and beauty of her state. Her title earned her the right to compete in national and international pageants, and soon, Laura was not just a local or regional name, but a national figure. Yet, even as she scaled the heights of pageantry, Laura remained deeply rooted in her origins. She used her growing platform to advocate for causes close to her heart. Environmental conservation, cultural preservation, and education for underprivileged children were not just pageant answers for Laura, they were genuine concerns. She was determined to use her influence for the betterment of her community and country. Her rise was not without challenges. The world of beauty pageants is often criticized for its superficiality and the objectification of women. Laura, however, navigated these troubled waters with grace and intelligence. She countered stereotypes by displaying her wit and knowledge in interviews and public appearances. Laura wasn't just another pretty face. She was a force of intellect and character. The pinnacle of Laura's pageant career came when she represented her country on an international stage. The competition was fierce, with contestants from all over the globe vying for the crown. Laura stood out, not just for her beauty, but for her eloquent advocacy for environmental issues. She spoke passionately about the need for sustainable development, echoing the voices of her indigenous Oaxacan community. Tragedy and resilience. The ascent to beauty queen status had not only changed Laura's life, but it also significantly impacted her family. Living in the limelight had its share of challenges, and the Mojicas, who were once just ordinary folks, had to adapt to their new reality. The glare of the public eye was intense, and the once private family found their lives under scrutiny. Tragedy struck unexpectedly, shattering the world Laura knew. A catastrophic car accident took the lives of her beloved parents. The incident left Laura and her siblings in a vortex of grief and despair. The family that had stood as her pillar of support was now leaning on her for strength. In the aftermath of the accident, Laura faced a crossroads. She could have succumbed to her grief, let it engulf her, and extinguish the bright flame of her burgeoning career. Instead, she chose resilience. Drawing from the depths of her sorrow, Laura found a new purpose. She decided to honor the memory of her parents by continuing her advocacy and pageant work with even more fervor. The tragedy had instilled in her a profound understanding of life's fragility. It made her advocacy for environmental conservation and educational causes not just a platform but a mission. She was no longer just fighting for crowns, she was fighting for change. But grief is a complex adversary. It creeps in during quiet moments, in the stillness of the night, in the midst of a crowd. Laura faced her share of dark days, moments when the weight of her loss threatened to crush her. It was during these times that her resilience shone brightest. She threw herself into her work, using it as both a distraction and a form of healing. She founded a charity in her parents' names, focusing on improving the lives of children in her hometown, ensuring that her parents' legacy of kindness and community service lived on. As Laura continued to navigate her life's new trajectory, another challenge loomed on the horizon. Her rise in the pageant world had attracted not only fans but also critics and detractors. Rumors and accusations began to surface, questioning her integrity and casting doubts on her achievements. The scrutiny was relentless, and the once adored beauty queen found herself the subject of tabloid fodder. The unfounded allegations took a toll on Laura's mental health. She experienced the darker side of fame, where one's character and life are dissected and often misrepresented. It was a stark contrast to the adulation she had once received, and it tested her resolve. Yet even in the face of such adversity, Laura's resilience did not waver. She tackled the rumors head-on, addressing them with grace and transparency. Her honest and forthright approach won her back some of her detractors, but the damage had been done. The once unblemished image of the beauty queen had been tarnished, and Laura realized that her journey would always be a blend of light and shadow. Through it all, Laura's family remained her anchor. Her siblings, who had been her first cheerleaders, now became her confidants and advisors. They helped her navigate the complexities of fame and shared the burden of their collective loss. The Mojica household, once filled with the laughter and love of their parents, now resonated with the quiet strength and unity of the siblings. Pageantry and ambition. Laura Mojica's journey through the world of pageantry was not just about the glitter and glamour that met the eye. It was a relentless pursuit, a test of wills, and a platform that she used to fuel her deepest ambitions. Her entry into pageantry had been a serendipitous one, stemming from a casual suggestion by a family friend who saw potential in her grace and poise. Little did Laura know that this suggestion would pivot her life in a direction filled with both opulence and ordeal. Pageantry, as Laura came to learn, was a universe unto itself. It was an intricate blend of beauty, brains, and sheer determination. As a rookie, the world of pageantry seemed dazzling, filled with gowns that sparkled under stage lights and smiles that never waned. However, as she delved deeper, she realized it was also a world that demanded discipline, resilience, and an unwavering sense of self. Her first pageant was a whirlwind. Laura, still a neophyte, was mesmerized by the intricacies of the process. The weeks leading up to the event were a blur of activity. Fittings, rehearsals, interviews, and an endless loop of walking practice. Every step was choreographed, every smile timed. The pageant was a spectacle, a showcase of not just beauty, but the collective aspirations of all the women who stood on that stage. The crowning moment, when the tiara was placed on her head, was surreal. Laura, once just a simple girl from a humble town, was now a beauty queen. The title came with a wave of opportunities and responsibilities. Her ambition, which had once been a quiet flame, was now a roaring fire. Pageantry had given her a voice, and she was determined to use it to make an impact. With each pageant, Laura grew more confident, more adept at navigating the complexities of the industry. She learned to maintain her composure under the harsh stage lights, to answer probing questions with grace, and to wear her crown with humility. Her titles were not just accolades. They were platforms from which she could advocate for the causes she held dear: environmental conservation, education for underprivileged children, and women's empowerment. However, ambition is often a double-edged sword. Laura's rising fame in the pageant world was met with both admiration and envy. The higher she climbed, the more pronounced the scrutiny became. There were whispers of favoritism, unfounded accusations of deceit, and the ever-present pressure to be perfect. Laura's character was tested time and again, but she remained steadfast, her eyes fixed on her goals. The pinnacle of her pageant career came with her participation in an international pageant. It was the grandest stage she had ever set foot on, representing not just herself or her family, but her entire country. The weight of expectation was immense, and the competition was fierce. Laura had never felt more alone, even as she stood amidst scores of other hopefuls. The international pageant was a crucible that tested all facets of Laura's being: her intellect, her poise, and most importantly, her resolve. She faced challenges that went beyond the superficial judgments of physical beauty. She had to be an embodiment of her nation's culture, a spokesperson for her advocacy, and a role model for young girls everywhere. A double life. In the aftermath of her pageant success, Laura Mojica found herself at a crossroads. The glittering world of pageantry had opened doors to a myriad of opportunities, yet it also cast long shadows that harbored whispered rumors and clandestine truths. As Laura ventured further into her advocacy work and public engagements, an unsettling narrative began to emerge, one that painted her life in a starkly different light. The rumors started as hushed conversations in the corridors of power and privilege, suggesting that Laura led a double life. Some whispered that the poised beauty queen who advocated for children's education by day was involved in questionable activities by night. It was a stark contrast to the image she had carefully curated and presented to the world. The first inklings of these rumors reached Laura's ears through a close confidant. Initially, she dismissed them as the usual fodder for gossip that public figures often endure. However, as the whispers grew louder and more persistent, they began to cast a long, dark shadow over her life. Her every move was scrutinized, her every association questioned. The crown she wore so proudly had become a crucible, testing her integrity and the authenticity of her public persona. Laura's life, once an open book to her adoring public, now required the careful management of appearances. She found herself retreating from the spotlight, her public engagements becoming fewer and farther between. She spent long nights poring over her past, wondering how her life had become the subject of such wild speculation. Her every friendship, every business deal, every charity event was dissected for signs of impropriety. As the rumors persisted, they began to take a tangible form. An investigative journalist took interest in Laura's story, determined to uncover the truth behind the beauty queen's alleged double life. This journalist's pursuit of the story was relentless, and soon, articles and exposés started to surface, casting aspersions on Laura's character. The reports suggested that Laura was involved in a network of individuals engaged in illicit activities, ranging from financial malfeasance to more serious criminal undertakings. They painted a picture of a woman who leveraged her beauty and charm to navigate the underbelly of society, a far cry from the image of the advocate for children and women's rights that she had so passionately embodied. Laura was aghast at the accusations. Her world, once filled with the applause of admirers and the warmth of the spotlight, had turned cold and accusatory. Friends and associates began to distance themselves, fearful of being dragged into the scandal that was quickly enveloping her life. Despite the mounting evidence presented by the media, Laura maintained her innocence. She fought the allegations with the same poise and determination that had carried her through the rigors of pageantry. However, the court of public opinion is often unforgiving, and Laura found her reputation in tatters, her achievements overshadowed by the scandal. In a bid to clear her name, Laura turned to the legal system. She engaged lawyers and sought to challenge the allegations in court. The legal battle that ensued was lengthy and arduous. It was a fight not just for her reputation, but for the truth she knew in her heart. Throughout the ordeal, Laura's resilience was put to the ultimate test. She faced the media's glare, the whispers of betrayal, and the loneliness that comes from being a public figure on the precipice of disgrace. However, she refused to let the allegations define her. She continued her advocacy work, albeit on a smaller scale, and clung to the belief that the truth would eventually prevail. The final verdict of the court case came after what seemed like an eternity. Laura was exonerated of all charges, the court finding insufficient evidence to support the claims of her involvement in criminal activities. It was a bittersweet victory. Although she had won her case, the ordeal had taken its toll. Her name had been cleared, but the scars of the scandal would take longer to heal. Unveiling the dark secret. Laura Mojica's exoneration brought a palpable sigh of relief, but it also unearthed questions that demanded answers. The allegations had been so specific, so detailed, that they couldn't have been conjured out of thin air. There was a dark secret lurking beneath the surface, a hidden truth that had fueled the rumors and nearly destroyed her life. In the wake of the trial, Laura embarked on a personal quest to uncover the origin of the rumors that had so vehemently accused her of leading a double life. It was a journey that would take her deep into her past, to the very beginnings of her rise to fame. What she discovered was a tangled web of envy, betrayal, and deceit that extended far beyond her imagination. The trail began with a series of clandestine meetings with old acquaintances, some of whom had been her closest allies during her pageant days. As she delved deeper into the web of her past, a startling picture began to emerge. At the center of it all was a figure from her early pageantry days, a mentor who had once been her guiding light. This mentor, whom she had trusted implicitly, had harbored a deep-seated envy of Laura's meteoric rise. As Laura's star ascended, the mentor's influence and prominence in the pageant circuit waned. Consumed by jealousy, the mentor had initiated a subtle campaign of slander, planting the seeds of doubt and suspicion that would eventually grow into the scandal that rocked Laura's world. The truth was a bitter pill to swallow. The very person who had helped shape her into the beauty queen she became was also the architect of her downfall. The betrayal cut deep, not just because of the personal relationship they had shared, but because it had nearly cost Laura everything she held dear. Armed with this knowledge, Laura faced a dilemma. She could expose the mentor and seek retribution, or she could choose the high road and focus on rebuilding her life. It was a decision that weighed heavily on her, a test of her character and the values she had always espoused. After much introspection, Laura chose forgiveness over vengeance. She realized that exposing her mentor would only perpetuate the cycle of negativity that had engulfed her life. Instead, she reached out to the mentor in private, confronting them with the truth she had uncovered. The meeting was fraught with tension. Emotions ran high as accusations and denials were exchanged. However, as the initial storm of recriminations subsided, a fragile understanding began to take shape. The mentor, burdened by guilt and remorse, confessed to the orchestration of the rumors. The envy had been too much to bear, and in a moment of weakness, the mentor had set in motion the chain of events that led to the scandal. Laura's response was not one of anger, but of compassion. She recognized the mentor's remorse and offered forgiveness, not for the mentor's sake, but for her own. It was a cathartic moment, one that allowed her to close a painful chapter of her life and move forward with a sense of peace and closure. The aftermath and legal battle. The dust had barely settled after the revelation of the dark secret when Laura Mojica found herself in the throes of another daunting challenge: the legal battle. The acquittal in her kidnapping case was just the beginning, as she now faced the monumental task of restoring her reputation and seeking justice against those who had wronged her. The legal battle that ensued was a labyrinthine affair, riddled with complexities and nuances that would test Laura's resilience and determination. She was no longer just fighting for her freedom, she was fighting for her name, her dignity, and her future. The first step was to file a lawsuit for defamation against those responsible for spreading the false accusations that had turned her life upside down. Laura's legal team was a diverse group of seasoned attorneys and passionate advocates who believed in her innocence and were committed to seeking justice on her behalf. They worked tirelessly, poring over every detail of the case, strategizing, and building a formidable argument to present in court. As the legal proceedings commenced, the courtroom became the stage for a dramatic battle of wits and wills. Laura's attorneys presented compelling evidence, showcasing the malicious intent behind the rumors and the irreparable damage they had caused to her personal and professional life. They argued that the accusations were not just baseless, but were a deliberate attempt to tarnish her reputation and destroy her career. The defense, on the other hand, tried to dismiss the allegations as mere gossip, inconsequential, and not worthy of legal retribution. They painted Laura as an overzealous public figure, overly concerned with her image and reputation. However, Laura's legal team was relentless. They brought forward witnesses, including the mentor who had admitted to orchestrating the rumors. The mentor's testimony was a pivotal moment in the trial, as they corroborated Laura's story, revealing the depths of their envy and the lengths they had gone to discredit her. The trial was a media spectacle, with every development making headlines and the public hanging on to every word uttered in the courtroom. Laura, once the subject of scandalous gossip, was now at the center of a legal drama that had captivated the nation. Throughout the ordeal, Laura remained stoic and composed. She attended every hearing, faced her accusers with dignity, and stood firm in her conviction that the truth would prevail. The trial was not just a fight for her rights, but a stand against the culture of defamation and character assassination that had become all too common. After weeks of intense legal battles, the verdict was finally delivered. In a landmark decision, the court ruled in Laura's favor, recognizing the defamation and the significant impact it had on her life. The judge awarded her a substantial sum in damages, acknowledging the need for reparations for the harm she had suffered. Echoes of controversy. The beauty pageant world was left in turmoil following the revelation of the dark secret that had lurked behind the dazzling smile of one of its most promising queens. The legal battle that ensued had not only stripped her of her crown, but also unveiled a complex web of deceit and manipulation that had ensnared many within the industry. It seemed as though the scandal had left an indelible mark, echoing through the halls of pageantry like a cautionary tale. In the wake of the scandal, the media frenzy was unrelenting. Cameras and microphones were thrust into the faces of anyone even remotely connected to the case, each vying for an exclusive that would catapult their ratings. The beauty queen at the center of it all became a paradoxical figure, vilified by many, yet also a subject of sympathy for some who saw her as a victim of circumstances beyond her control. As the initial shock began to subside, introspection took its place. The pageant community, which had long been celebrated as a platform for empowerment and philanthropy, now faced a barrage of questions regarding its practices and the pressures it placed on its participants. Former pageant contestants came forward with their own stories, painting a picture of a world that wasn't always as glamorous as it appeared on stage. The narrative began to shift from one of individual wrongdoing to a broader critique of the beauty industry as a whole. Within the pageantry organizations, there was a palpable tension. Some advocated for sweeping reforms, pushing for more transparency and a reevaluation of the values the pageants promoted. Others were more resistant, fearful that too much change would tarnish the allure and tradition of the competitions. It was a delicate balancing act, acknowledging the flaws without dismantling the legacy. For the dethroned beauty queen, life had become a series of contradictions. Her once sparkling reputation was now tarnished, yet her name was known across the globe. She found herself at the center of debates on ethics, beauty standards, and the role of women in society. Offers for interviews, book deals, and even reality TV shows were laid at her feet, each promising her a chance to tell her side of the story. But with every public appearance, she risked reigniting the controversy that had almost consumed her. In the courtroom, the battle raged on. Lawyers argued fervently, presenting evidence and narratives that painted vastly different pictures of the events that had unfolded. The legal proceedings, however, were not just about assigning blame or seeking retribution. They were a manifestation of a society grappling with its ideals and its shortcomings. The verdict, whatever it might be, would send a message far beyond the confines of the courtroom. The echoes of controversy rippled out, reaching corners of society that seemed, at first glance, removed from the world of pageants. Discussions were sparked about the expectations placed on women, the definition of authenticity, and the line between personal privacy and public interest. Universities held symposiums, talk shows hosted panels, and online forums buzzed with heated debates. The scandal had become a lens through which broader social issues were examined and re-examined.